Hi, quick introduction, and then I promise we're going to dive right into everything that you're here for. If you don't know me, if you are new to this world, my name is Chelsea Rosner. I am founder of Be Your Own Black Sheep. And quite honestly, the simplest way that I can tell you what I do is that I help entrepreneurs and small business owners stop getting lost in everyone else's blueprint and really start building from the one thing that no one else has, which is you, your identity, right? Your inherent gifts. They aren't just this marketing angle. They're quite literally the only thing that you actually have that make you unique and stand out, that you should be building your platform, your business, and your life from. Because when you do decide to finally build from that place, you're going to stop forcing sales. You're going to stop forcing clients. You're going to start attracting people with ease. And it's going to feel like things that used to not be available to you start to just show up. Okay? It's not magic, because it's literally just you being the right fit for yourself and other people wanting to be in that energy. I'm so excited and ready to dive into the identity matrix with you all, but I want you to go with me here, okay? I want to set this up for you in a way that really is going to help you to see why this is so important. Because think about the last time in your business things were going really great, right? You genuinely had a really great season of business where clients were coming in, cash was stacking, offers were selling, all the things. And then for some reason, it just kind of wasn't anymore. And then you spent the next 6 weeks, 6 months, several years figuring out what you did wrong, what shifted, what changed, what it is that you needed to fix. Because what I want you to walk away from today is that you probably didn't actually do anything wrong, okay? We have this habit, especially of entrepreneurs, of treating our lows in business like evidence, right? Our lows in life as evidence. Evidence that we're not cut out to do that thing that way. Evidence that, the good season was just a fluke. It was the market. It was the algorithm, or whatever it is, or that, something is fundamentally broken about our business and now we have to spend an enormous amount of time trying to fix it, even though that thing was never actually broken, okay? So what if the lows weren't the problem? What if they were just part of a wave? That's what I want to show you today. That's what we're going to map out inside the identity matrix. It's this framework that I built because I kept watching all of these high achievers and business owners, genuinely talented, genuinely capable people, waste months of their lives in this weird place of shame about genuinely just being human, right? About wanting to live their lives and grow something incredible at the same time, and losing themselves in this what should be and what isn't and what could be and what will be, and this whole kind of thing, okay? So bear with me. This is not high tech. I'm going to use a whiteboard. I'm going to go all in and make this make sense for you because it's that important. I need a better marker. Joke's on me because that very clearly is backwards. So moving on to the next solution, because chaos is actually a part of the clarity. So you're welcome for this comedic timing and break and relief. And however this ends up working out, thinking pen and paper at this point is probably how you were meant to receive this information, and probably how it was best for me to teach it to you anyhow. So we're rolling with it. Welcome back to pen and paper and chaos. Yay. Okay. No, seriously though, the identity matrix, it starts with 2 questions. All right. The first one is, are you clear or are you lost? The second question is, are you honoring who you actually are? So this would look like self-trust, honored identity, or aren't you? Are you unsure and pretending? Just from these 2 measurements, we can plot almost anything about where a person is. This top right quadrant, this is where you're clear, You are trusting yourself. Things click. Okay? You do not over-explain here. You do not overwork here. This is where ideas land. This is where clients come. This is where your flow lives. And then all the way over here, we have quadrant C, and this is where we are lost and pretending. This is where you are second guessing everything. You find yourself burnt out and actually trying to fix a strategy problem 24/7. But the whole time that you're lost in strategy here, this is actually an identity problem. So between quadrants B and C, most people assume that they're just bouncing between the two of them, right? You're either second guessing or you aren't. Things are either clear or they're not. And this is what's actually happening though. So everything in our identity is frequency, our emotions, our energy, our output, our results, okay? And frequency moves in waves. Here is our high wave. So this is our high frequency, okay? And then here's our low frequency. When we're operating at high frequency, right, these tall peaks right here, these fast moving happens like this all the time kinds of things, we still have lows. All right, I need you to see this. We still have lows throughout all these highs. We just don't stay there fast, okay? Doubt comes up and we literally drive straight over them. It's like when you are going through, a parking lot that's empty and no one's around and there's a speed bump and you're just like, whatever, like cool, no big deal. And you just still drive straight over it. You acknowledge it, right? It was there. You knew it was coming, okay? You know that for every high, there's going to be a low. So you just acknowledge it and move on. And then you're back to your next peak. Okay, so the fear still shows up, but you're already past it before you can sit here in this lower frequency and wallow in it or let it like pull you back or let it keep you stuck. And so it's this low frequency, this red line here, that gets people, okay? So low does not mean bad. Let's reiterate that. Low does not mean bad, okay? It means slow. This wave is super flat, right? Look at how shallow this guy is, okay? And the peaks don't get very high either, all right? So when you have a thought that you're like, okay, I'm really ready to move forward on something, you come right back down. You ruminate on this thought for forever, and then you have to sit in the down side of that for days or weeks. It just depends on how low your frequency wave is. And when you sit down here long enough, you start to compound in the wrong direction. This is where we quit things without ever actually calling it quits, but we just don't do it. This is where motivation probably goes to die. And we're like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get things done? Why can't I move at the speed that I really want to move at? And so this is where we get stuck. Okay. When we're in this low frequency space and we can't move beyond it, right? And so this is what I actually see when I look at most entrepreneurs. Most entrepreneurs' identity matrix actually looks like this. We have on this left side of our chart, right? We have this unsure, pretending, lost, confused here. And we have not really sure what I'm doing, but I had a really solid thought. So maybe I should do something with it. Okay. And then on our high frequency side, we have these tall, fast moving peaks, right? When we really trust ourselves, we feel super clear and we take action. When we really have this honored identity, even if we're not sure what we're doing, we still tend to speed through it really quickly, right? Because we don't spend time staying in these emotional states down here at the bottom. Okay. Whereas over here, this is significantly longer, right? This is almost 3 times the amount when we look at this time. So this is where we start to cycle faster, when we can live in this B and D version of these quadrants, right? When we can live and operate in this high frequency. And these are things that we can shift easily, okay? This is something that gets to be a choice. You get to surround yourself with other things. You get to be this version of all of the things, the self-trust, the honored identity, the clear Claire, while carrying your confusion with you and just rolling over it like a speed bump. Now, these are both frequency waves, okay? Speed is something entirely different. That also looks red. It's pink. Let's pick a different color. Let's see if blue will work. So, speed, okay? So when we look at speed, it is its own measurement entirely, separate from the frequency, okay? So you can be high frequency, this tall peaks, without speed. And that is its own special version of stuck. That is a person who has a genuinely great idea and then does nothing with it until the next great idea arrives. The frequency is there, but the speed is not, okay? So slow speed looks like a dead marker. Probably feels like a dead marker as well, okay? But this is what slow speed looks like. And fast speed, right, looks like this. Okay, and so if we merge these two charts together, now we have our frequency, right? Low frequency in the red, high frequency wave in the pen, mixed with our speed. You can be either or of these. So you can be someone who's low speed and low frequency. So you're going to look like this. This could be a year. This could be a day. It could be a week, right? Everyone's speed is going to differ, just like everyone's frequency. Some people's frequency will look like this. Some people's low frequency might look a little like this, right? Everyone's frequency is going to be slightly different. We all operate on our same different paces, okay? Now, some people can be low frequency and they can be fast, right? So that would look like these are your Karens. These are your Lindas. These are your grumpy neighbors. These are the people who literally have nothing good to say, probably about all the things, and like chaos compiles and stuff just like falls on them, and they're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. If that's you, we've all been here. We've all lived on this uncomfortable wave, and we feel like things are just moving so fast from peak to peak in this land of unsure and lost and confused so quickly that we never feel like we get a chance to come up for air, for clarity. We never feel like we can get far enough over here to honor what it is that we really want about ourselves, okay? So if you are here, this is something that you get to change, okay? This is something that you get to do and deal with because now you know and you can't ignore it, all right? So for my high achievers, right, you guys, here's your matrix, okay? You can be slow with your high. Right? This could be a year. This could be a week. This could be a day. These are your great, clear ideas. But if you're slow, you're going to live in this low as long as you're going to live in this high. So choose wisely. Okay? If you want to be high frequency with slow speed and drag your feet and not do the things that you know that you're meant to do, It's going to feel so uncomfortable for so long. And then you're going to get this breath of fresh air and you're going to be like, oh, okay, maybe I can do this. And then it's just going to repeat. Hamster wheels, right? Burnout cycles. This is the burnout cycle of the epic entrepreneur right here. This is it. This is what all your ambition gets trapped up inside. And this is where we live. And this is where all of our great ideas in our businesses go to become invisible and feel like they have just escaped us, or like we're not good enough all of a sudden to do the things that we know that we want to be doing. Okay. But when we are high frequency, right? Tall peaks and high speed, fast moving, we look like this all the way across the board. And that's pretty amazing because you can't necessarily be high speed and high frequency and live in these two quadrants. Okay. That's reserved for quadrant B and quadrant D. You won't stay here long. You might start over here. You're going to fly and floor your way across this graph so fast that things are going to feel so clear. You're not even going to stop to pause how confused you are at times. Okay. You're going to learn so much more about who you are and honor that so deeply that there's no such thing as pretending. All right. And so all of this then already maps out into something that already exists. Okay. This researcher named David Hawkins, he spent his entire life mapping out frequencies in hertz of human emotions. He called it the map of consciousness. We're going to map it on the identity matrix. So when we start to look at our map and we look at really measuring out where these emotions land on our identity matrix, okay, the lowest one that we have is shame. And that sits at about 20 hertz. Okay. The highest one that we have, all the way over here, is enlightenment. And enlightenment sits at 700 plus hertz. Okay. So this area here is our like absolute neutral. Okay. Absolute neutrality is around 250 hertz. Here's our line straight through these matrix of emotions. This is how our emotions get tracked inside of our high frequency, low frequency waves. Okay. And so what we need to look at here is other emotions that range from shame to enlightenment. Okay. So we have shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride, courage, neutral, okay, willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, peace, and then enlightenment. And so if we look at where enlightenment lands, right, it is the highest sustained emotion inside of this B quadrant, okay? So this map is directly correlated to high performing achievers. Okay. That's not a coincidence. Okay. So this is the part that I really want you to hear is all the way down here. Okay. When high achievers have a low frequency moment, right? When we start to look at these dips that we have, because now we know up here is enlightenment and down here can be things like shame and guilt and grief and fear. Okay, so when we look at these high achievers having these low frequency moments, a bad week, a quiet launch, a day where nothing flows, like, right, the universe just isn't responding. And so all of a sudden we start to feel ashamed of where we're at in our business. We start to scale down into these little dips right here. And so what we're actually doing is when we shame ourselves for having this low, we're taking whatever frequency we had and we're dragging ourselves down here. Okay. Because this is going to happen. This is going to happen no matter what. We're going to come and ride this wave and the universe is going to take a day off of sending all that epic luck our way. Okay. Might be for 4 seconds, might be for 4 days. That's literally up to the speed of the frequency here. Okay. But if we start to shame ourselves, when we start to dip into these lower frequencies, we're just going to go lower and we're just going to drag it out and we're just going to slow down our inevitable rise. So we may have skipped the next great thing. We may not have been able to move as quickly as we wanted to through these different things. So we're making it so much worse when we shame ourselves or start to be afraid that we're not living up here anymore. Oh no, we had a blip. We had a bad day. We lost our cool. We started to second guess something, okay? The low is not the problem. The shame and the feeling that we assign and that causes us to stay here is the problem. So instead of, and this, yes, great little graphic is actually inside the book that Trish and I wrote, and where I introduced the identity matrix in real time in a real human and put it into a conversation to teach you guys there. So here's what it looks like on this chart. Okay, all the way through here. And all of a sudden, right? So let's say, okay, like you get up the courage to do something. You've shifted into willingness. All of a sudden you've gone from, I'm a little confused, well, but I'm willing. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. You know, that whole saying that like, you know, results don't come from inaction. Like you do the thing and then the results follow. So that's willingness, right? When you are willing, you have moved into quadrant B just by being willing to do the thing, right? You've overcome fear and your pride and gotten over it when you start to do the thing. And all of a sudden you start to love the thing, right? Oh my gosh, like this is so great. But then all of a sudden you're like, oh, like I don't know what I'm doing anymore, right? But then you bounce right back up. And so I have found that the entrepreneurs who live in this space experience these more frequently. It's just a matter of how long they stay there as to how quickly they go back to here. So I have actually worked with clients and I can map out where they fall on this chart. They come in and you can hear the fear in their voice. I don't know if I'm going to make enough sales to make this worth it. And you can hear that kind of desperation that only comes because they genuinely believe what they do. And so if we look at the flip side of fear, right, that's joy and acceptance. They love what they do so much that they are literally operating from a place of fear when they don't feel sure, when they feel confused. And so my job is to get them to back here. Okay. This is what I do with Master Certified Life Coach. This is what I do with business identity. This is where we start to live and operate from so that these things happen, because they will happen. They will always happen. Okay. Clarity is not the absence of chaos and confusion. Okay. Chaos is all of these things that lead to all of these things, because no matter what your wave looks like, you're going to experience all of these emotions. Okay. And so if we look at how these emotions run through here, let's draw a wave on here. Okay. Right. Let's draw a low frequency wave. So somebody who's living and operating in low frequency is pinging between fighting with pride and courage and only getting to willingness and acceptance. Okay, so this creates this toxic cycle where we have so much ambition for what we want to do. We know that the things that we love are up here and we're like, why not me? How come I can't get here? How come I'm stuck in here, right? That's our pride talking. And it's because we're only willing to accept that we're only this good. So if an entrepreneur is living in this cycle right here, as a coach, right, and as somebody who wants to see them succeed and wants to help shake them out of that and tap into this, true identity and honored self, my job is to help them figure out where the hell this shit lives. Because this is, knowing this and feeling this is what's going to take this low wave and turn this in to this. Okay. And again, these highs, these joy and peace and enlightenment peaks are not the absence of desire and fear and grief and guilt and shame. Okay. But we're just moving through them so quickly that they don't derail us anymore. So what do we do when we're in a low? How do we shift from low frequency to high frequency? It's not as difficult as we think it is. One, talk about it. Hire a coach. Find a friend who understands this shit and can help you get through it, okay? Move your body, change your state, or make it even more practical, right? Manipulate your surroundings. Everything is energy. Everything has a frequency, not just emotions. Physical things have frequencies. The fabrics that you wear have frequency. Polyester measures lower than guilt and shame, right? It actually is 0 on this David Hawkins scale, okay? Organic cotton is like 100 hertz, okay? Linen and wool, 5,000, okay? And remember, enlightenment is 700 plus hertz, okay? So really, on a day that you're not feeling clear or motivated or like yourself, do you want to go wrap yourself up in some polyester, or should you put on linen? Or maybe go roll around on a wool rug? Or should you put a wool rug in your office? Should you put one in your living space? Should that be the first thing that you touch throughout the day? Do you want to sleep in linen sheets rather than polyester ones? This isn't something that has to be a spiritual ritual, okay? This is a practical lever that you have the opportunity to pull whenever you feel like you need it, whenever you can feel that wave slowing down, because now you can see it, right? All of a sudden you're like, I'm going, and this feels great, and this is amazing, and I'm so far up here, and oh, here comes the downhill. Here comes this crash, right? Like, okay, so how fast do you want to move through that? You get to choose, and you get to do practical things that move you into the willingness, which is already over the threshold of neutral, right? So as long as you're willing to do something to change your state, you have already crossed over the XY axis. You've already pinged back into the very lower depths of that quadrant B that we know you want to be living in, all right? And you haven't even done anything yet. You're just willing to do the thing, okay? So it's not about being in this perfect enlightened state where everything is up all the time, okay? Nobody who you admire in businesses is up all the time, okay? Not the people on the stages you want to be on, no one, okay? So it's like setting a personal record at the gym. You can't PR every day. Your body will not allow you. It has to break down before it can rebuild. Frequency, same thing, okay? And so it's really as you peak, you come back to your baseline so that you can expand, so that you can go back up. All right. It's not this like wobbling that is the problem. That's just evidence that you are a human in motion and you have frequency just like everything else surrounding you in life. Okay. So this is what I want to leave you with today. All right. You are allowed to have lows. Okay. Your lows are not proof that anything is broken. They are data points on your identity matrix. When you can start to see them that way and you can start to visualize them and map them and plot them on something tangible, you can stop wasting your energy on shame and doubt and fear and guilt and all of these things. And you can start to put that energy back into motion. That's going to work for you. And that's the identity matrix. That is frequency. Okay, thanks. See you later. Bye. No, seriously. It's amazing. Okay, so if there are ways and things that you want to discuss about this, there are several different things that you can do to do that. One, you can go to my website, right? BeYourOwnBlackSheep.com. Simple as that. Play around. All of this stuff is on there. You can get on the wait list for the book, or maybe it's already out now, and you can grab the book where I introduce this for the first time. And there are many, many, many layers of conversations that help you to understand like your own inherent identity, how your ambition gets trapped and locked in and caged and like suffocated by all of the noise and stuff that's outside of you. And it really will allow you to start to like have these real life conversations with yourself that you actually should be having with yourself as an entrepreneur, rather than just focusing on your systems and formulas and data and all that stuff. Okay. Secondly, you are always welcome to reach out to me. If you've not done the Black Sheep Blueprint, it is a free resource. It is all yours. Please go do that, because you have to start knowing yourself if you ever want to live in quadrants B and D. Okay. And lastly, you're welcome to always send me questions. I love to engage. I love to interact. I love to hear how this stuff lands. So please, please, please feel free to email me, Chels at beyourownblacksheep.com, or click around on the website. You'll find my email. You can see on there where you can send me a Loom video where you can drop a question and I will respond via video to your question. So I'd love to hear like what it is that's going on. Everything that you think that you need is available to you. It's already yours. You don't have to go out and become something new. You don't have to go out and learn something brand new in order to get the things. Those are skills. Those are tool sets, right? Sometimes you will need a new skill in order to get the thing that you want, but you never need to reinvent yourself. You never need to, do anything other than hone your own gifts that are already inherently yours. But you can't hone them if you can't name them. Okay? You can't claim them if you don't even know what they are. So that's where we start. That's where this goes. That's where this giant disconnect lives, in between like what we want and what we're trying to do. It's all frequency. Okay?